The video you're about to see was inspired by a video made by First Man. These two guys, First Man and Hamza, are somewhat responsible for the initial growth of my channel, so I didn't want to make this video, but this needs to be said. Well, there's actually no slander towards First Man since there is no need, and in a way it's basically just him who helped get this channel off the ground, but Hamza was in the thumbnail, so he does have some part in this. However, Hamza has been on a massive shit tear lately, and I'm honestly surprised no one else has called him out for this. So, I will. Now the video in question is the one here, the end of First Man. It's essentially a rant about the state of male channels lately, which I too have noticed lately, in case you couldn't tell from that hookup video I made recently. And yes, check the date of that upload and the upload from the video of First Man. This isn't me trying to jump on a trend, I've felt this way for a while now. And by the time this even gets uploaded, this topic probably won't be trendy based on how long it takes me to get a video out, considering everything else I do in my life. This script is being started on the 2nd of July, and I watched most of that First Man video before bed on the 1st of July. But regardless, I too have noticed that most male self-improvement channels can boil down to, I'm a top 1%, buy my course, something involving a woman, I'm better than everyone else because I have money. There's no mention of a career or building assets. When I talk about assets, it refers to real estate and like a business and stuff like that, and it can somewhat apply to investments in terms of finances and stocks, but I may come back to that later in the video. The reason I harp on real estate on this channel is because the value of this only increases further and further into the future. It becomes exceedingly more expensive to afford, so the sooner you get into it, the better. Plus, the increase in value in your property is known as equity, and roughly 80% of this equity increase can be used to purchase more real estate. From here, you can get rental income from that second property. You can use equity for other things too, like some people just take it out as cash. It's free money just from owning a house. But the main strategy is using it for more real estate. How's that for passive income? Also, I'm from Australia, so we have like the worst real estate market in the world in terms of being able to afford it. So maybe I'm a little biased, but my point stands. Real estate is a fantastic investment. So, how do you get real estate? By having a lot of money and getting a loan from the bank. How do you get those? Well, having a career allows you to be the one to negotiate pay rises, hence more money. If you work at a local cafe, for example, you don't have much bargaining power in terms of increasing your income. And furthermore, banks prefer when you have a stable career that has good growth potential, as it means you're a lot more likely to be able to pay off your loan. You're better off having a career than a business in the eyes of a bank. I've talked about this several times before, so sorry to the regulars who heard me talk about this before, but I feel this video is going to reach newer viewers. So that is basically a standard strategy to gaining wealth, but you won't hear these types of channels talking about this. Their whole shtick is business, 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 buy my course. But let's entertain the idea that starting a business is actually a good way of making money. What is the likelihood of success? If every business started worked, why is there such a high failure rate? I have gone in depth on this in this video here, so check out that video if you want more info. But I won't repeat myself since regulars would just get bored. But in short, it's statistically unlikely that a business will pay off. A lot of these guys also appear to tout being a father. Well, guess what? Having a stable income source and being able to provide for your family is probably a good idea if you want to be a father. Can't be relying on an inconsistent income stream such as a business to provide for your family. Now for the rest of the video, I will go over the comment I left on First Man's video and the comments I received in response to my comment. Here we go. I wholeheartedly agree with a good chunk of the rant. The idea of a business is start a YouTube channel and sell a course. It's why I've had a gripe with Hamza for ages. If you check his older videos, you can see he basically hit the YouTube algorithm, which gained an audience, and then he sold courses, which is how he got his money, alongside AdSense. Now, he seems to think he's some financial prodigy, and is even selling a subscription, Adonis School, where he claims to teach this stuff. He basically got lucky. I know he's helped heaps of people, but he is in no way in any position to be teaching anything about finance when he has such a misunderstanding of how it works for most people. If anyone reading this comment has actually made thousands per month following Hamza's finance ideas, please let me know, but I find that extremely hard to believe. Even so, the Adonis School is super costly, especially given his main fans are likely under 20 years old. They don't have $499 for initial sign-up and then $99 a month afterwards. I know the rant was more so aimed at other male self-improvement content creators like Andrew Tate, but I don't even watch him, so I can't comment on that. But a lot of what you said applies to Hamza, and that other guy, Iman, I've never heard of him. I basically only know of you and Hamza in the self-improvement space. I especially like you, since unlike every other self-improvement YouTuber, you've actually worked in a proper career job. You're in exceptional shape. You've had businesses, which is like your personal trainer business like I once did. You had education, etc. You've been there and you've done that, rather than just talking shit like the rest of them. The only content I consume on YouTube these days is related to the stock market/finance. You know, stuff that would help me qualify to sell a course teaching you finance, unlike Hamza and probably the other guys you were ranting about. They only became successful by telling you how to become successful, and all they have is a little bit more money than you, mainly because you gave them that money, literally also directly applies to Hamza too, to be honest. And yeah, they haven't accomplished that stuff themselves. I'd go on, but I feel I've made my point. Male egos are definitely getting out of whack. Once again, I can't comment on the others since I don't watch them. I didn't know about the podcaster kicking a girl off because she labeled him as an 8, a compliment in my eyes. But again, going back to Hamza, he thinks he knows everything. He talks shit about the fitness influencers, saying they're dickheads and not to watch them. Meanwhile, he seems to think he can get to 220 plus pounds natty. He doesn't do lateral raises properly. He doesn't do hanging leg raises properly. He has extremely basic nutritional information, etc. I think his fan base is too blindsided by the fact that he helped them get out of a dark place to realize that. He's filled his purpose in your life. He helped you get out of the rut, but that's all he knows. At that point, all he is really good for is fitness, but even then, he doesn't really know much. You sure as hell shouldn't listen to him for advice about a career. He's never had one himself. Yes, he had a successful business, but that business is just a YouTube channel telling people how to be successful and then selling courses off the back of that audience, which goes back to what was said earlier. Anyway, it's past 11 p.m. here in Australia. I'll head to bed now. Can't miss out on that ideal circadian rhythm. Well, it says idea, but that was obviously in order correct. So that's what I left in response to First Man's video. Let's go over some of the replies. Dono4 says, well said, mate. And I replied saying, thank you, sir. I'm reluctant to attack Hamza as I know his fan base is enamored with him, but it's great seeing others agree with me. Yeah, so as I said, I know his fan base are probably the biggest bunch of fanboys I've ever seen. They talk about him like he cured cancer. Perhaps he helped you out of a deep, dark place, but that's his purpose done. There's nothing else you can learn from him. This is something I'll talk about in my next video. I'm basically going to rip into his Adonis School. But yeah, he's filled his purpose in your life. Move on. Time to actually learn and grow. Juan Paz 5124 says, absolutely. I also don't consider these kinds of YouTube channels real businesses. I have more respect for a guy running a small grocery store than for one who makes heaps of money off talking dumb shit into a camera. Yeah, legit. I remember I had a convo with my friend ages ago, and she said she would love to have her own business one day. And when she said this, I thought she was referring to some brick and mortar business, but chances are she meant something like this. Something with barely any initial upfront cost. But yes, good point from this commenter. Small grocers provide such a great benefit to the community. They probably, or certainly, care more about their customers than larger supermarkets, like the one I work for. When a customer has a query, I absolutely care and do my best to help them, but ultimately, I get paid the same regardless of whether they shop here again or not. There's so many customers, one not shopping here anymore isn't going to hurt my contracted hours/shifts, whereas this one customer is exponentially more important to a local small grocer. The issue with this business idea is that it isn't scalable. Tesco is a large supermarket in the UK and Ireland, but they don't have any customers in my region in Australia. So what are the chances that Joe's Local Fruits and Veggies has customers around the globe? None. No chance. My business is this brand name, and I have viewers from around the globe. This is more scalable than a local brick and mortar business. This is exactly why this stat was originally called online brand. Go and suss my older videos. I legit called it online brand. Now I just call it brand. Also, I prefer to call it brand since, well, for this exact comment. It's somewhat a slap to actual business owners, but that's neither here nor there. Let's move on to the next comment. Paul Denanino says, I agree with the sellout thing, and I also have a problem with Hamza calling everybody dickheads and other nasty stuff. He does think he knows it all, especially when it comes to nutrition, but he couldn't be more wrong on a lot of it. His argument is always, nature though. I don't know why he couldn't get to 220 pounds though, and haven't seen his lateral raises or leg raises technique, but I think technique is overrated anyways. Yeah, it's funny, everyone is an idiot compared to him, despite the fact that he barely graduated uni. I mean, I barely graduated my bachelor's too, but I turned around and crushed a graduate certificate of artificial intelligence for business, and am now doing a CPA qualification, so I can talk that shit. In a recent video of his, he made a snide remark about finance YouTubers. Yes, there are some shady characters out there, but how would he know? He doesn't watch this stuff daily. He knows nothing about finance in relation to the stock market. Once again, he steps out of his lane, thinking he knows more about stuff than he actually does. I'll also touch on this in my next video, but in that same video where he disses finance YouTubers, he's basically teaching you how to spend less time on YouTube. And I believe he does this because he doesn't want you finding other channels that are better than his, which is pretty easy to find. So you spend your watch time on him instead of others. And perhaps you even find videos like this that wake you up to this nonsense. You could also argue he's genuinely trying to help his viewers spend less time on YouTube, but honestly, this should come down to your own personal willpower. And also, given how Hamza acts, I believe it's likely the first option. Bash the competition, aka other channels, so your impressionable audience stays committed to you. Touching on the nutrition part of the comment, if you're new here, I know a thing or two about nutrition. Check out these videos for more info. Yes, nature does play a big part in nutrition, but there's more to it than just eat food from the earth. As for the last sentence, he can't get to 220 pounds if he wants to be lean doing so. Not at his height. Him and I are about the same height, at least from what I've seen. Some of his adoring fanboys keep propping up his height. He's somewhere between 6 foot and 6'2". Pretty sure he said he's 6 foot, but I've seen some comments from his fans saying he's 6'2". Kinda cringe to be propping up some dude on YouTube, but you do you, I guess. Regardless, he isn't a giant by any means. The taller you are, the more room you have to add muscle. And me being roughly the same height helps me gauge what potential and weight is for someone of this height. 220 pounds is about 100 kilos, which is about 20 kilos heavier than I am right now. Do you really think I could add 20 kilos of muscle at this body fat? No. Well, not natty anyway, which is what I assume Hamza would do. Although he's mentioned that he may look at TRT in the past, which he probably will since he's a pseudo-fitness influencer, you're going to need to keep up with the big boys if this is your thing. Another example that illustrates my point, my boy Liam Denton, a fellow Aussie, is 6'2", so likely taller than Hamza, aka more room to add muscle. He is also basically a pro bodybuilder, and he's on gear, obviously. And he's about 104 kilos at the moment, looking like this. So Hamza thinks he can get to roughly this weight with a smaller body in terms of height to work with? Yeah, sure, buddy. So that answers that comment. He can't get to 220 pounds as a lean natty. As for form being overrated, I agree to an extent. In that same video I showed before from Liam Denton, he does this tricep movement in his workout routine at a particular angle to optimally target his tricep. He does this since he is full on about the aesthetic stat, but for me personally, I'm not that fussed about this. As long as I perform the general movement pattern that works a muscle, that's enough. However, movements like hanging leg raises and lateral raises can be done much better than the way Hamza does them. This video from Intellectual Muscle summarizes it well. I've touched on lateral raises before, but basically the way Hamza does leg raises doesn't fully engage his abs, and his lateral raise form could be both healthier and target his medial delts more. Let's suss the next comment. Don't even know how to pronounce that. Elon Musk's 53rd child says, well said, Hamza acts like he's some god amongst men. Guy is a walking, talking contradiction. Yes, he does act like a god amongst men. I remember seeing this video from some 16-year-old who started his YouTube channel, and he said to stop following Hamza's cult or something, and how he was starting his own cult, and the gist of it was there's no competition. I don't know, it didn't make sense to me, but then Hamza comments on that video and he says, yes, good idea, start your own cult. There is no competition. As in, he's referring to there's no competition against him. Competition for what? A culty fan base? Have you seen the crypto fan base? Have you seen the Tesla fan base? Have you seen the AMD fan base? Oh wait, Hamza knows nothing about the stock market. My bad. But anyway, another douchey comment from Hamza. Funny, since he is no competition to me. The only stats he beats me in is money and brand. Hardly a competitor. And even then, give me time for my brand and Hamza only has money because his fanboys are giving it to him. And there's also AdSense which comes from the brand, which again is a result of his fanboys. Give me time to grow this brand and I'll be able to teach Hamza's fanbase more than he can teach them. And that'll hinder his brand. Now, of course, I am a long way off, but pretty hard to grow a brand when you work as much as I do. If making a self-improvement channel was a surefire way to make a living, how come I haven't seen 100 other Hamza channels show up in my feed? Because it rarely works. I live in the real world where I need to work actual jobs, but that's besides the point. Next comment, Gordon Armadale, whatever. At the end of the day, people are always going to be dumb enough to buy into this crap. Everything you can find in these courses you can find online for free. It's like coaching. Everyone knows how to get rich. We all lie to ourselves we don't. All you have to do is work and work smart consistently for an extended period of time. Dumb can be somewhat of a strong word. I'd perhaps use impressionable. Since his audience is so young, I think I even saw 12-year-olds comment on his videos. Like, oh, Hamza, I'm 12, thank you so much for whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like, bruh, what are you doing? When I was that age, I was playing Pokemon Platinum and Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky on repeat. It's good to see you're wanting to get a head start in your life, but geez, enjoy your childhood, my guy. There's plenty of time for this hustle shit later. But yes, you can use the word dumb. People think he knows everything because he has 2 million subs. That just means he's good at getting a particular audience and playing the algorithm. Take away YouTube and his skills don't get him far in the real world. Also, yes, everything on the internet is free. I talked about this in my Hamza investing reaction video, but I would never pay for online information unless it's a formal certification you can put on your resume. The example I used in that video was Microsoft Excel. You can get a formal certification from Microsoft for this. That's great to have on your resume in my field, which is accounting. You can absolutely learn Excel for free, but paying for this certification is fantastic resume credit. Having certified in Excel from Microsoft looks better than proficient at Excel on your resume. However, imagine putting student at Hamza's Adonis School on your resume. If you apply to a job with me and had that on your resume, I'd laugh hysterically and then absolutely not hire you, since that tells me you make bad investments. And I can't have that as an accountant/stock market investor. And the last point on being rich, yes, indeed. Check out this video that basically outlines a path on getting rich and using a career, real estate, investments, and a business to get money. It's more so a fun video, but if you watch it, you can get the gist of how you can get rich over time. Next comment, Victoria in Progress says, I'm a Hamza subscriber, but you were correct about how overpriced his course is. It's like half a month's salary in my country. He's stated many times about how he wants to make $1 million. Yeah, I don't know where you're from, my guy, but $499 can even be a month's worth of pay if you're a uni student working part-time. Even more than a month if you're younger than that, which, if you're paying for that scammy skill, then chances are you are younger than that. And yes, at least he's upfront about his intentions. If his intention really was to help people, then he'd do this shit for free, not lock it behind a disgusting paywall. User Z30 says, so true, man. I'm so happy that I'm one of the few people that actually found about him through First Man. When watching his videos, it never really made sense and was overly exaggerated. I find it hard for someone who hasn't worked in the corporate/professional world like myself to talk about how the 9 to 5 grind really is, especially someone as young as him. And his fan base, because in their teens, early 20s, also have no idea and they simply take his word for it. He has provided some useful knowledge here and there, but honestly, he seems like just another money maker on here. And Victoria in Progress, hey, it's the same guy as before. He replied to that comment and he said, he might not have worked a 9 to 5, but he did work at a call center. Ask anyone who's worked there and they'll tell you it's brutal. Then user Zethiro says, I understand the job is very strenuous on the body, working those long hours, but it's simply not the same, brother. Call center is literally cold call and follow leads. I know people who have had those jobs. It's essentially Groundhog Day, whatever that means. No industry skills are required. It's an entry-level job for a reason. That's why I respect and took a liking to Chris's content. It's reliable as he has been in the finance industry and worked in the city. So he knows what it takes to learn and apply these skills daily while still keeping up with the industry. After working only 4 years in the IT industry and dealing with corporate/professional clients, I'm almost done with it all. And I myself want to go into the next chapter, own business, and live in the male advantage. So these comments are sort of a back and forth between people that aren't me, but I have nothing to add to the first comment. His young fan base has no idea how the world of careers and jobs works. It's also why I like First Man a lot. He's done the shit he talks about, just like me. The second comment seems to think working in an entry-level position at a call center for about 2 years equates to knowing how a career works. That's funny. Although it gives Hamza a crumb of credibility when he talks about work, it's nowhere near enough to justify the amount he thinks he knows about it. So this next comment is separate from the comment I made. It's a comment directly on First Man's video, but it's worth talking about. Carl Martison 563 says, the people who want you to continue making regular videos so that they can feel productive are delusional. James Janney made a good video about this ages ago, the toxic world of self-help or whatever. Basically, the gist is reading about productivity makes you think you're being productive. It's called action faking or something. The fact that you need to keep watching this stuff is a hindrance to your productivity. Yes, sometimes you need that extra boost to keep you going, but if you only ever feel productive after watching these videos, you're in some trouble. I remember Hamza's video where he said he's filled his purpose. Yeah, that lasted about 2 weeks tops. He said he let his editing stuff go, which I talked about in an Instagram post. I was like, he only did this to cut costs, so he can have more money for himself. Surprise, surprise, it seems I was right. But anyway, the comments on this video were filled with comments like, oh, good luck, Hamza. I'll try to be productive without your videos. And it's like, huh? These guys relied on watching on his videos to be productive? If that's the case, just rewatch his older ones. Just do that. If you're watching anything on YouTube for the sake of productivity, it should be because you can either get inspiration for that initial motivation required to get started. However, this should only last 2 to 3 months. You shouldn't need constant motivation. After a while, it should become a habit. You should also either use YouTube to learn something new, aka me when I listen to 5+ hours of finance on YouTube every weekday, or watching someone else show their productivity, watching someone practice what they preach, seeing how they go about it, what they do for their productive days, aka my day/week in the life videos. I give tidbits in those videos too relating to exercise selection, nutrition, stocks, etc., especially the older ones. Although the older ones are a little boring and slow, there's good info in them nonetheless. I know that sounds like a Hamza tactic, bash others and prop yourself up, but honestly, it's legit. You should use YouTube to learn, which is productive, or you should use it to draw inspiration from others with the same goals as you, not listen to someone talk for 10 minutes about something they've never done before. So I'll wrap up with this. Alex Hormozy has said in videos past that he gives free products to his audience so that they can trust him with his knowledge and then he can upsell stuff. Hamza kinda did this, but there's no way what he's offering in his disgustingly overpriced skill is much different from what he's already said for free. In my next video, I'm going to rip into the Adonis School. Get ready, kids. School's about to start.